Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on Monday night Raw, the 3-hour boring show for tonight, and some wrestling news. Well, there's only going to be the results for Raw because that was all that was on tonight. There's no news on Superstars, and it's Jim Ross Appreciation Night. But here's the news. Kaitlyn returned from her storyline injury over the weekend SmackDown Live event in Abilene, Texas. She wrestled Natalya. And Kaitlyn commented on Twitter, my ankle isn't quite 100% yet, but I'm ready for whatever you bring to the table, including your attitude. Learn your manners. Ted DiBiase defeated WWE NXT star Leo Kruger in his first action away from NXT at the weekend's show in Abilene, at the same show that Kaitlyn was at. After suffering an apparent injury at Friday's Raw live event against Tensai, Santino Marella told fans on Twitter that it was just a close call and he is not injured. Santino worked last night on last night's Raw live event in Topeka, Kansas as well. Michael McGillicuddy defeated Dean Ambrose at Saturday night's Raw live event in Topeka, Kansas. A fan in attendance noted that Ambrose does have his own entrance video and theme song now. So, that's some other guys are being called up to the main roster. WWE superstar Drew McIntyre told fans in early September that he was injured and will be out of action for a few weeks. Drew has recently appeared on WWE TV with new tag team partners, Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater, but it appears that he had some kind of surgery over the weekend. Drew noted that he was part bionic now, indicating that he had surgery. He added that he will not be missing any time from work. Regarding Raquel Diaz, Shaw Marie Guerrero, that's Eddie Guerrero and Miss Piggy Guerrero, their daughter, she has indeed left WWE. Most people within WWE expect her back in action, but that's not confirmed. It's believed that she is taking time away to rest up and possibly go back to school. The feeling from developmental was that Guerrero is not a very good wrestler, but she is great with talking. That's only part of your character, and it's called charisma. Regarding Kelly and Beth Phoenix leaving WWE, most in the company are under the impression that Kelly won't be back anytime soon, as she has been released from her contract. Beth is scheduled to finish up at the end of October, and she is expected back in the future. The source describes Beth's departure as it's just being time for her to leave. There's also speculation that Beth is leaving, in part to help take care of her boyfriend Edge after he has neck surgery in early November. We've noted that a source close to WWE Divas division expects other divas to be leaving soon. There has been no talk of the WWE champion Eve Torres leaving, but officials are aware of her recent change in life, as she just got engaged to Renner Gracie, and the feeling is that she may want some time off once they get married. Former WWE diva, Booker T's wife, Sharmell, has returned to wrestling. She is the new general manager for Reality of Wrestling, the independent promotion owned by her husband, Booker T. Sharmell appears in episode 14 of the ROW YouTube series and says that she will be a fair but firm general manager. WWE will be holding a SmackDown taping on February 26th, 2013 in Oklahoma City. Thanks to .NET reader Ryan J. Ryan noted that the announcement was made at the merchandise stand set up outside of the venue that was hosting Raw tonight. Zack Ryder's and Kingdom Morello will face Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd in a tag team tournament match on Wednesday's live, supposedly live event television show. It's WWE main event on Ion television show. Also advertises John Cena on the show. Well, I doubt if he'll be on the show, but he was advertised. The winning team will face Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow in the semifinals on SmackDown. The show debuts on Ion Network on this coming Wednesday, and join for live coverage beginning 7 p.m. The live coverage begins at 7 p.m. Central Time, so that's 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the East Coast. Main event will be taped on Tuesday in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I believe they've already done the main event anyways, because that was a dark match last week. Champion versus champion. WWE has also announced the main event of the first main event television show will be CM Punk versus Sheamus in the champion versus champion match. The show will debut on Ion Network again at 7 p.m. I'm not surprised to see them deliver a big main event on the first show. WWE Superstars was headlined by Undertaker versus Matt Hardy when it premiered. And that turned out to be Taker's only in-ring appearance on Superstars. Only time will tell whether WWE main event will feature quality matches each week or become just another throwaway show. The dark match main event for tonight's Raw show is champion CM Punk versus World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus in a champion versus champion match again. It's a preview of a top match from the WWE main event television show that premieres Wednesday night on the Ion Network. So, I guess last week's wasn't the taping. Happy birthday go to the following wrestlers. Robbie E., a.k.a. real name Robert Strauss, turned 29 years old today. Also, an aspiring pro wrestler myself, I turned 44 years old today. Well, Robbie E. also goes under the name of Robbie Echoes on the indie scene. Hector Guerrero turned 58 today. He was born October 1st, 1954. He works in the color commentary for TNA's Spanish broadcast team. Former WWE wrestler Steve Blackman is 49. He was born September 28, 1963. Former diva, WWE diva Candice Michelle, a.k.a. Candice Michelle Beckham, Ehrlich, turned 34 years old on Sunday. She was born September 30th, 1978. She announced in May that she is pregnant with her second child. I thought it was number 3. Former WWE and ECW star Yoshihiro Tajiri celebrated his 42nd birthday on Saturday. He was born on September 29, 1970. He continued to wrestle in Japan and now runs the Wrestling New Classic promotion. Michael McGillicuddy also had a birthday today. He turned 33 years old. Former pro wrestler David Sammartino turned 52 years old Saturday. He was born September 29, 1960. JR comments on a WWE tryout camp later this week. WWE is holding a tryout camp down in Tampa starting today. Well, that was this past Friday. And I am missing that due to obligations here in Oklahoma City regarding Raw. I'm anxious to hear if there will be any viable prospects coming out of this multiple day camp. I hope that all prospects came to camp in great cardio shape. Any wrestler who gets a tryout with WWE and TNA is doing himself or herself a major disservice by not showing up in peak condition. It's the equivalent of showing up to a regular job interview dressed in sweatpants and a t-shirt. Other topics include him talking about celebrity poker with JR and Alicia Fox. How to build a WWE megastar, the latest mainstream sports guy who is too good for pro wrestling, and more. And you can go to JR's barbecue for that. More news on Shaw Guerrero, a.k.a. Raquel Diaz, NXT character. issued her first comments since she received her release from WWE developmental contract. "Thank you all for your love and support," Guerrero wrote. "WWE has been one of my highlights of my life. I learned so much and consider them family." Follow her online at twitter.com/Raquel Diaz WWE. The daughter of Eddie and Vicky Guerrero reportedly asked for her release from the company and obviously received it based on those comments. She has yet to explain why she chose to leave the company. Thanks to .net reader Isaac Hernandez for passing along that news. And some news from the WWE camp. Brittany Savage, who has competed for numerous Northeast-based independent wrestling promotions, was among those trying out for WWE at the evaluation session in Tampa, Florida over the weekend. She has appeared for WWE in the past as an enhancement wrestler, as she lost to Beth Phoenix on the November 6, 2009 episode of SmackDown. She also competed in a tag team with AJ Lee when the now popular Diva was an independent wrestler. The Raw general manager wished Savage well in her tryout, tweeting, "Go kick some ass," unquote. And now what you've all been waiting for, Raw, boring program tonight. Show opened with a recap of last week's segments involving Mick Foley, CM Punk, and the final scene of Ryback staring down Punk backstage as they get the same thing on Raw tonight. Michael Cole checked in on commentary and noted that he was accompanied by good old JR. CM Punk's music played. Punk and Heyman headed to the ring, and Heyman holding up the WWE Championship. Coleslaw noted that it is Jim Ross Appreciation Night. Ross said he's humbled and appreciates what WWE is doing. Punk noted that Cena attacked him last week while his back was turned. Punk said that might be a noble act in a city like this, but it's cowardice in Chicago. Punk said he walked backstage after being attacked, and Foley shot him a look and said something under his breath, and he deemed it disrespectful. Punk said he listened to a little of what Foley said, and he had some of his words sink into his thick skull. Punk said he spent some time last week thinking about his stance of not facing John Cena at Hell in a Cell. He said he's been able to digest what Foley has said about legacy and accepting Cena's challenge. That's why I'm out here tonight. Punk said, "I'm here to announce that a Hell in a Cell, CM Punk, John Cena is still not going to happen." Punk whispered something to Heyman. Heyman whispered something back. Heyman took the mic and received an immediate booze. He said they wanted to move on to a most relevant piece of business. Heyman pointed to the screen where his proposal to AJ from last week aired. Heyman recalled the WWE Board of Directors stating that AJ Lee could never put her hands on a superstar, manager, or anyone else ever again. Heyman said he and Punk agree that AJ Lee must be removed from her position of general manager immediately. The fans booed again. Heyman said he knew that the fans were booing because that would leave a void in the power structure. Heyman said he was the person to take the job and cited his own experiences. And we get interruptions from Miss Piggy Guerrero. And walking to the ring with the Money in the Bank winner, Dolph Ziggler. She said mentioned her own history and then aired footage of AJ attacking her. Heyman asked when it became about her. Vicky called Dolph a future world champion. Heyman told her that when the future catches up with the present, to let her know. Or let him know, I should say. Dolph interjected to suggest the possibility of Heyman and Vicky serving as co-general managers. AJ skips to the ring and announces that the board of directors have put her on probation. She said she's been appointed an executive coach to help her in her development of Raw. Daniel Bryan's music hits, and everybody's thinking he's the coach. He walked out doing the no-gasms. I call them the Borgasm nose. Bit with the fans, and Bryan yelled at the fans to stop it. He said he came out to apologize. Stop it, he yelled, just as the back of his t-shirt reads. And Bryan says AJ's mental issues have been compounded by the fact that he dumped her after WrestleMania. Bryan said he couldn't blame her. I mean, look at me, Bryan said. I am one hell of a catch. Funny segment. I am handsome, Bryan yelled. I am a former world champion, and I have a great beard. And everybody in the ring and in the crowd laughs. Bryan took off his belt and said, now he is the tag team champions. He yelled it a few more times, and then Kane's music hit, and he made his entrance. Kane said everyone has forgotten to mention that she is a phenomenal kisser. AJ eventually interrupted to announce that Kane and Bryan versus CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler for your main event. Didn't care for Punk and Heyman being caught up in the over-the-top comedy that Kane and Bryan are doing right now. I keep them away from that nonsense. The match itself could be fun. It's worth noting that Ziggler was wearing a pink ribbon on his jacket. So it won't just be John Cena in pink this month. Coleslaw hyped the debate between Big Show and Sheamus that was advertised with Booker T as the moderator. JR hyped that Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara were coming up after the break. Showed the tag title tournament pairings as they go to commercial. Match was the first match of the night. Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara versus Primo and Epico. First round tag team tournament match. Cole said the tournament will continue on WWE main event with Zack Ryder and Santino Marella versus Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel. Sin Cara and Mysterio wore matching colors. The masked man got the better of the action. The primetime players' music played, and they entered only to take a seat at stage. Coleslaw said that the players will face Kofi Kingston and R-Truth on SmackDown, and the winners will face the winner of this match in the next round. I overheard him saying that they will be facing the winners of this match anyways. So that's a spoiler for tomorrow night. Prime time players win. Players took a seat on the stage to the match after the break. Sin Cara dove onto Epico at ringside, and then Mysterio performed top rope splash on Primo for the win. Players slapped on stage. Well, at least what's the face? Can't think of his name. Anyways, Darren Young. That's who did the clapping. Zeke. I call him Ezekiel. But other dude. He's just like, wow, you won a match. Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara advanced to in the first round tournament. Announcers hyped the debate and said Booker will choose the fans' question sent in by Tout and Twitter, and as they go to commercial. The tournament is effectively adding some importance to what would otherwise be throwaway tag matches. I like the way that they're stretching it out over the television shows, including the main event premiere. By the way, Chris, I'll have the results for that on tomorrow night's SmackDown tapings as well. Match number 2 is Antonio Cesaro versus Brodus Clay. Non-title match, no interest for Clay. He's already in the ring. Who gets some brief offense. Cesaro came back with a springboard uppercut, then finished off Clay with a neutralizer. Well, this match didn't even last a minute. The only move that Brodus Clay actually got in was his headbutt, and Antonio Cesaro barely even sold it. Falls down and gets right back up. Picks him up for his finisher. Announcers did a really good job of putting over Cesaro performing the move on someone Clay's size, but questioned whether he could do it as he was just going for the move. And then he and Ross raved that he was able to pull it off. Clay was an afterthought in this match, which was all about Cesaro. Backstage segment, AJ introduced Kaitlyn to her executive coach. Christopher J. Stevenson. AJ built up, asking Kaitlyn to forgive her for their past issues. AJ laughed maniacally and then said she's not sorry at all. Cole saw hype JR appreciation night again and questioned who will show up to say hello. No one. Ross hyped the tag match and the tag match main event. A graphic noted that 3 times more viewers watched SmackDown on Friday than UFC Ultimate Fighter. Cole also hyped that Larry King was a special social media ambassador for this week. Match number 3. And by the way, SmackDown was terrible in the viewing last week. Match number 3, The Miz versus Zack Ryder in a non-title match. Miz caught Ryder as he was going for his finisher, threw him back first in the corner. In the end, Miz pinned Ryder with a skull-crushing finale. Well, Zack did get off the boot in the corner. Miz defeated Zack Ryder in a non-title in 2 minutes 40 seconds. They shot air to Booker T walking backstage, setting up the debate as they go to commercial. Miz won a non-title match on television. It's a miracle. A good television match, huh? Booker T headed to the ring and didn't get much of a reaction from the crowd. He hyped Sheamus versus Big Show at Hell in a Cell as being for the very first time. Booker introduced Big Show, who walked out wearing a suit. Footage was shown of Big Show beating Randy Orton on SmackDown. They said Orton suffered a major rib injury. Angle. So he may not be on SmackDown this week. Sheamus was introduced next, and Sheamus, who was wearing his ring gear, joined Booker and Big Show in the ring where the 2 podiums were set up. Big Show started to thank Booker for the debate, and then said it was unnecessary. No shit. Show said he's going to knock out Sheamus and win a title for his opening segment. Open remarks, I should say. Sheamus went for the cheap pop by mentioning the name of the town. He said his only concern was whether the match would go 45 seconds. Show said Sheamus wasn't talking the debate or the match seriously, taking the debate or match seriously, as he should be. Show got pissed off. His podium started to fall apart as he put his weight on it, so he threw the rest of it down. Show asked if he can have a new podium. He said he's slightly overweight and leaned on it, so it broke. That was a funny segment. Sheamus pointed to the big screen for a top message from supposedly his cousin Rey Mysterio Sullivan, which was Sheamus holding up a mask in front of him. Well, he was actually putting on a Rey Mysterio mask, and he asked how Big Show will feel when he has his head kicked off at Hell in a Cell. He concluded by saying, Arriba! Arriba! Sheamus was among the only people laughing. Big Show insisted that Sheamus be serious. Sheamus got serious and asked how did it feel when Daniel Bryan beat him for the world title in 45 seconds. Show took off his jacket, Sheamus took off his shirt. They stared at one another. They should have just kissed and made up. That's how boring the show was tonight. Show left the ring and as the crowd booed. They shot air to Ryback walking backstage to set up the next match. Well, that was a horrible segment. Yet again, boring. They continue to cast Sheamus as a funny guy, yet his material is every bit as corny as John Cena's material. This should be built up as a huge challenge for Sheamus. Yet instead, he's telling bad jokes and playing awful tout videos. That segment was damaging when it comes to my own interest in their match. Creative wanted to be current with a debate on Wednesday, yet they didn't have any ideas beyond that. Everyone involved in that mess should be embarrassed. Match number 4 coming up. Ryback versus Tensai. Sakamoto wasn't with Tensai again this week. Cole's all noted that Jerry Lawler continues to improve and told Cole earlier that he's resting and getting better by the day. Ryback power slammed Tensai and then clotheslined him. Ross compared it to Stan Hansen's lariat back in the day. Ryback went for his finisher twice and was unable to pick him up. Ryback clotheslined him instead and scored the pin. For those that don't remember Stan Hansen, he was the guy that was in the restroom scene during the No Holds Barred movie. In the stall segment, the girl and the guy was in the girl that Stan Hansen's character was in the bathroom, telling the guy, not even worth it. It was like, Pee-wee, the girl was saying, Pee-wee, to the guy in the bathroom. Well, that match took 1 minute and 45 seconds out of our lives. As Ryback couldn't, he was, I guess couldn't even pick, he wasn't as strong as he was last week's match against Tensai. As he couldn't even pick him, he tried to pick him up twice, and then, I guess it was a botch. And, basically, it was a, clothesline from hell, and the match was over. So, instead of your stomping, fallback slam, since you can't pick up a guy heavy enough, you fall to another move. Ross did his best to cover for Ryback by saying Tensai blocked his finisher, but it looked really bad. Coleslaw also did a good job of talking about how the clothesline is another weapon in Ryback's arsenal. The live crowd groaned at the botched attempts, yet many of those fans chanted, "Feed me more," along with him after the match. I have a feeling someone is going to be yelled at backstage. That's what WWE gets for taking away Sakamoto's weekly butt kicking. This has been a lousy show thus far, and we're not even to the usual point when it feels like Raw is dragging due to the third hour. Justin Roberts plugged the Susan B. Komen charity and asked the breast cancer survivors to stand up. I wonder if they're going to do that for the live SmackDown for here. Match number 5, Eve versus Beth Phoenix in a non-title match. Before the match, footage aired of an overly nice Eve talking about how the Divas division, how great the other participants are. Highlights aired of Eve attempting to suspend Beth on SmackDown. Eve got Beth to shake hands before the match, but Beth brought her back. Beth charged at Eve in the corner early on. Eve moved, and Beth's shoulder hit the ring post and out to the floor. She goes, and Eve follows. Eve attacked Beth and aggressively on the floor while Beth sold the shoulder injury. Beth barely made it back inside the ring, and at the ref's 9 count, Eve hit the neck breaker, which is nothing more than Crossroads. A short time later, and pinned Beth for the win. And that match took 2 minutes 35 seconds out of our lives. Backstage segment, again, AJ introduced Christopher J. Stevenson to Wade Barrett for some odd reason. Barrett said she's doing a horrible job. He said he's not booked on the show. He said 1 minute she's red hot, and then the next minute she's ice cold. He told her to stop letting her personal relationships get in the way of her job. After Barrett left, AJ looked at Stevenson and said, "I think you're intimidated." And they go to commercial break. And just staring at the dude. So far boring again. Nothing on this show is clicking tonight. Even Beth, that's how that match was. It was fine, even if it was predictable. And I like what Barrett had to say, but AJ's line to Stevenson was way out of there. I'm not even sure what the purpose for this guy serves. So boring. I changed to the Cowboy game to watch them get their asses beat again. Romo had 4 interceptions tonight before I changed the channel. Back to Raw. Announcers discussed JBL's latest mountain climbing success as he as he climbed Kilimanjaro, Mount Kilimanjaro. And he will return to Raw next week to be another announcer again. Match number 6, Santino Marella versus Heath Slater, Drew McIntyre, and Jinder Mahal. Nothing new in this match. 3 versus 1. Announcers questions what the connection between Heath Slater, Drew McIntyre, and Mahal are, after they all are 3 different worlds. Slater had a run of good offense. Santino came back with the usual moves and dropped him with the Cobra. McIntyre and Jinder hit the ring for the disqualification as he was going for the pinfall, takes the Cobra, and throws it out of the ring. McIntyre performed his future shock DDT after all 3 heels said in unison, 1, 2, 3, boop. Slater took the mic and said that they have something everyone needs to hear. McIntyre said he is still the chosen one. Mahal said he's still the Maharaja. Slater said he's still the one-man band. Santino defeated Heath Slater by disqualification due to outside interference in 2 minutes 50 seconds. Does WWE have a warehouse of Job Squad t-shirts anymore that they're desperate to unload? Well, this is the time to get rid of them. Or bring back Al Snow. There you go with Job Squad. Cole saw hype the appreciation night segment, as he's the only one announcing for that. And JR hyped Sheamus versus Damien Sandow for after the break, commercial break. Match number 7, Sheamus versus Damien Sandow. This match was just as boring as I'm yawning. A lot of rest holds in this match. It was a non-title match. Cody joined on the announcers on commentary. Cole's first question was how Cody and Sandow came up with the name Rhodes Scholars. Yeah, really. Sheamus grabbed Sandow by the beard and went for a clothesline. Sandow took a powder as they got to commercial. After the break, Cody distracted Sheamus he had Sandow on the out into the first row of the ring side, over the barricade, I should say. And Cody distracted him just by getting up out of his chair, which gave Sandow a chance to take control. As Sheamus turns back his attention back around, he gets clotheslined over the top of the barricade. Sandow got the better of Sheamus for a brief minute. Sandow continued to work over Sheamus, and as JR raved, it was his first performance in WWE. Sheamus came back with a battering ram shoulder block off the top rope and got a 2 count. Sheamus slammed Sandow on the chest as the crowd chanted along all the way up to 9. They actually counted 10, but Sheamus held up the arm for at least 15 seconds. Cody stood up and tried to attack Sheamus from behind. Sheamus saw him coming. Sheamus performed a double bro kick at the same time, which one foot caught them both, and scored a clean pin. And that match took 16 minutes out of our life. Like I said, I think they went to commercial both times when Sandow had Sheamus in a headlock. That's how dragged on it was. The announcers hyped the tag team main event and said JR Appreciation Night was up next. Well, the way the announcers put over Sandow down the stretch, Ross mentioned earlier that JBL would be returning to Raw next week. Let's see. Ross Appreciation Night segment is televised, and his potential replacement is returning next week. That seems like a recipe for hometown humiliation number 722 for Ross. Here's hoping this is airing on television because they have a big surprise like Stone Cold Steve Austin appearing on the show. Well, I forgot. He did get a big surprise. Coleslaw gave JR a nice introduction. Ross made his entrance and received a good ovation from the home state fans. Coleslaw asked Ross how it felt to have this night in front of the Oklahoma fans. Just as JR was about to speak, CM Punk's music interrupts him. Punk and Heyman came to the ring. Punk told Cole he could return to ringside. The crowd booed for Punk for the interruption. He led them into a JR chant, like he's respecting him. Punk said Ross is the best announcer that they have had and respects the hell out of him. He said that the fans want to shower Ross with respect, but they don't know the first thing about it. Punk said that the fans turned their backs on him again. Punk said he respects Ross, which is why he's going to help him teach the fans about respect by telling them that he's the best in the world. Ross said that he's happy Punk didn't come out to embarrass him. Just being honest, man to man here, you've done a hell of a job out of making a jackass and embarrassing yourself the last several weeks on television. Heyman looked at Ross and held up the belt and said, he's the best in the world. The fans chanted, JR, JR, JR. Punk said that he wished he could say he's not totally disappointed in him, but he can't. Punk said he came out and told Ross that they both the best when everyone else, pointing to the back, treated him like crap. Punk questioned what would happen to Ross if he treated him with the same disrespect in the same way he treated Foley last week. Punk asked who would come to his rescue. Stone Cold? Punk yelled. He said Stone Cold couldn't help him, nor could Jerry Lawler. Punk said 316 used to mean that Austin whooped your ass, but now it's the number of days he has held the WWE Championship. 316 now belongs to me, Punk said. 316 and counting. Just like you, right now, body and soul belongs to me, Punk. Punk asked Ross when he became such a tough guy with his John Wayne hat and phony Stone Cold goatee. Punk said Ross could say it however he wants, but he's going to say that Punk is the best in the world. I'm not going to say it, Ross responded. You talk about being the best in the world and you want everybody to call you the best in the world? Well, let me tell you something, sir. I have been blessed to call some of the greatest matches in WWE history with the best in the world. Ross said he's called matches with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Undertaker. Ross said those men never asked to be called the best in the world, but he would have, if they would have asked him because they earned that distinction. Ross told Punk that if he accepts John Cena's challenge and kicks his ass in Hell in a Cell, then he will be the first in line to tell him that he's the best in the world. Until then, we've got nothing to talk about, Ross said, and concluded. Damn, the fans chanted JR again. Punk unzipped his hooded sweatshirt and threw it down. He removed Ross's hat and stomped on it in the middle of the ring. Punk said he doesn't run away from his fights. He said he's beaten Cena time and time again and said the Oklahoma City Thunder couldn't get it done in the NBA Finals last season, and they don't get another shot on Tuesday. They have to earn their way up again. Punk said he has never run away from anything, but if Ross is smart, he will. He said Ross was standing in the ring with a dangerous man. Punk told him that he would hurt Ross and see to it that he never calls another match again. Lost my spot. He told him to put his hands up and fight him or leave. Ross started to walk away, but Punk spun him around. Jim, where do you think you're going? Punk asked. He questioned whether Ross thought he was going to go back to commentary and spew his rhetoric question. Punk told Ross to talk the walk of shame. He said he wanted all the people to see Ross walk up the ramp. He told him to do it or I will put you in the dirt. Ross slowly exited the ring. "Keep walking, Jim," Punk said. "You're not a Hall of Famer. You're a joke. You're an embarrassment." Ross made it to the bottom of the entrance ramp, and then Ryback's music hits. Ryback comes out and motioned for Ross to come with him. Ryback entered the ring and motioned for JR to join him. Ryback and Punk glared at one another in the middle of the ring while Ross stood near the ropes. The fans were on their feet chanting, "Feed me more." Punk slowly backed away and left the ring where Heyman was already waiting at ringside. Punk backed up the ramp while Heyman told him that he's the best in the world. Punk took his title belt, held it over his head. Heyman told Punk that he would take Ryback and said, "You don't fight for free." Coleslaw hyped the tag team main event. That was the only decent segment in the whole program for Raw tonight. I enjoyed this even more than the Punk Foley exchange last week. Punk continues to deliver amazing mic work every week and every week in and week out. Meanwhile, this is the best verbal exchange that I recall Ross ever having during his career. He was sympathetic, yet easy to respect because of the way he stood his ground and refused to call the Punk the best in the world. I love the fact that Punk was one step ahead of everyone by pointing out that Austin and Lawler weren't there to save Ross. Ryback coming out was a great follow-up to last week. This was an excellent use of Ryback. His popularity is bound to grow because he stood up for the likable Ross and against the hateable Punk. I don't know when they'll have their first match, but I'm really enjoying the build to it. After the commercial, Cole noted that they are just 2 months away from the WWE Tribute to the Troops event as a Kid Rock theme played in the background, so I guess he's going to have something to do with the Tribute to the Troops. And Coleslaw said the song "Let It Ride" is Kid Rock's own tribute to the troops. JR came back to commentary with Cole, and he said he wasn't trying to be disrespectful. He said writing best of the world isn't something you wrote on a t-shirt. It's something you earn. He said he feels Punk could earn that by beating Cena inside the Hell in a Cell. The announcers then narrated the highlights of Randy Orton injury angle from SmackDown after the show went off the air. By the way, I assume that they will hold the full-length JR Appreciation Night ceremony after the show tonight. Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez versus Kofi Kingston with R-Truth. And Ricardo was sent outside and was told to join commentary. He said Ricardo said he's been a huge fan of Cole for a long time. "Oh, hey, JR, Ricardo said. He's like, "Oh, hey, JR, Ricardo said. Hilarious. Kingston jumps out to a fast start, and they cut to commercial less than a minute into the match. After the break, Ricardo said Del Rio was at a disadvantage because when it's a 3-on-1 due to Little Jimmy, Ricardo cheered on Del Rio throughout the match in a comical way, and he also spoke in Spanish. Even Coleslaw said that, "Hey, speak English. Nobody can understand you." Del Rio avoided trouble in paradise and applied the cross arm breaker and got the pinfall submission. And the match took 6 minutes and 10 seconds out of our lives. Backstage, the coach, Stevenson, told AJ that part of being a leader is admitting when you're wrong and putting aside your personal differences. She said they should do something special. She threatened to make Stevenson the special referee of the main event and told him to get out of her arena. She said she doesn't think a coach is worth a damn unless they've been a player, and he's never been a player. She said she doesn't need a coach, much less an executive coach. So we get the main event. Daniel Bryan made his entrance. Kane made his entrance. I'm the tag team champion. Commercial break. And I had aired for the Punk versus Sheamus match that headlines WWE main event for this week, which is Wednesday night. Ross apologizes for talking while AJ and Stevenson were yapping. It sounded like he said, why don't you do the reveal? And then realized his mic was on. Oops. Meanwhile, Ricardo is such a likable character that I actually like the joke involving little Jimmy. That's really saying something. Punk and Ziggler were in the ring after the break. Justin Roberts introduces AJ Lee as a special guest referee. Second main event is Kane and Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk with Paul Heyman and Dolph Ziggler with Miss Piggy Guerrero with AJ Lee as special guest referee in a non-title match. Coleslaw ran through AJ's history with everyone involved in the match other than Ziggler. My God, it sounds like days of our WWE lives, Ross said. Kane clotheslined Ziggler to the ringside, and then Bryan tagged himself into the match, heading into the commercial break. Coleslaw noted that AJ is on probation from WWE and noted that she told her executive coach to get lost. Coleslaw also said that Kane made his first WWE appearance 15 years ago this week. So this makes it his 15-year anniversary for WWE. And JR said he remembered vividly, as it was during the Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. As it goes over the 10 o'clock hour, JR noted that Heyman and Vicky had not communicated during the match. In the ring, Punk hit a high knee on Kane, but Kane shoved him off and went for a bulldog and performed a side slam. Wow, you're doing your setup moves early in the match. Kane went to top rope and clothesline Punk. Bryan tagged in and leapt toward Punk off the ropes, only to have Punk catch him with a shot on the way down. Bryan took Punk down with a clothesline and then fired up before catching with several kicks. Bryan knocked Ziggler off the apron, but walked into a kick from Punk as they both fall down. Later, Bryan performed an awesome Angel's Wings suplex off the top rope, and then applied the no lock, Borgasm lock. Punk reached the bottom rope with an assist from Heyman, who pushed the rope in to break the hold. Did it several times as his foot fell off and he put it back on. AJ caught Heyman putting it up on the apron the second time. He insisted he didn't put Punk's foot on the rope. She ejected Heyman from the ringside. Vicky immediately stood up on the apron and yelled until she got the same treatment. And she was immediately thrown out of the match as well. Ziggler grabbed his briefcase and left with Vicky as Punk seized, looking for a tag. So Punk got thrown to the wolves. Bryan caught Punk with a running drop kick. Kane showside Punk and pinned him. AJ made the 3 count. Bryan and Kane did the I'm the Tag Team Champions routine after the match. Kane and Daniel Bryan defeated CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler in a non-title match at 12 minutes 45 seconds. I guess this means Bryan and Kane are babyfaces, at least for this week. I'm still not sure what we're supposed to think of AJ. There were some really good spots from Bryan and Punk, but the match felt more about the personas than the in-ring action. Because even Punk did a short botch. Supposed to be a full drop kick. Well, he actually had his knees in and barely did a kick because he was so close to him. Overall, the first couple of hours made it painful for viewing. That's why I was watching the Cowboys get their butts kicked during the first quarter. Was 0-0 in the Cowboys game. Well, it got to like 3-0 and then 10-0. Well, then it came back. It was like 10-7. That's the last time I saw even close to having a close chance at the game. Well, the Cowboys did eventually score a field goal, but nothing more than that until at the end of the game. To use a Ross term here, business picked up during the Ross Appreciation Night segment That was easily the highlight of the night, and the third hour of the show was much better as a whole as it has been lately. The question now is how many viewers suffered through the first 2 hours and stuck around to see the third hour compared to the Cowboys game. Things could get better next week, assuming that they really kick into the pay-per-view hype mode. And thanks for viewing and watching along with me tonight. Peace out. God bless. Till tomorrow night. Peace out.